Hello and welcome to the Acting Coach Network podcast. I'm your host, Savannah Madden, acting coach, award-winning theatre school owner and business coach for performing arts professionals, tutors and small business owners who want to grow their businesses with confidence, resilience and to step into their CEO mindset without burning out. Today's guest is someone who believes wholeheartedly that dance should be for everyone. Jack Seager began his school in 2023 with just 2 students and a very big vision. As a performer who has worked across the West End, Panto, TV and at sea, Jack knows what it feels like to live inside this industry. The highs, the grind, the resilience it asks of you, and the joy it can create. What struck me about Jack when I first came across his work is the why behind his school. He and his team intentionally built a CIC, which stands for Community Interest Company, because they wanted families from all backgrounds to have access to professional dance training without the barrier of cost or privilege. They now have 23 students and a growing community that is built on encouragement, expression, and genuine opportunity. Today, we are going to go a bit deeper into his story, the personal journey that shaped his ethos, the challenges he faced in trying to grow a performing arts business in a world where budgets, burnout and visibility are very real hurdles, and the vision he holds for every child who walks into his classes. Jack Seager, welcome to the Acting Coach Network podcast.
Thank you for having me. Oh my God, that made me quite emotional when you said all that. I was like, oh, I did that.
Yeah, absolutely you did. And you're so new to owning a business. Your business is only 2 years old, so you've already achieved so much in such a short amount of time. But anyway, I don't want to do too much of the talking here. Let's get right to it. Let's get to the beginning. Can you tell us about how you started in the performing arts and then what led you to starting your business in 2023?
I started as a child, really young, probably about 5, 6. Just went to a local stage school, nothing fancy about it, church hall, did comps, did shows, and I was addicted, absolutely addicted. My first stage school, there wasn't like a huge amount of opportunity there. I was the only boy. They already had numbers. They already had really good dancers. So I wasn't really in that mix. So I used to go and get a pair of tap shoes from the cupboard, which were like silver sparkly ones with a heel, stand on the side and do me and my girl. I wasn't in the number. I just used to do it. And it was probably wrong, but I loved it. I just loved it. And then we went to, my brother is a dancer as well. He's an amazing technical dancer. And we went to another school where we studied IS2D. And it was really regimented. Like, she was Miss Elizabeth. That's what her name was. And she was Sergeant
Strict.
Major. Yeah, really, really strict. But I still loved
old
it.
school? Like really old school?
Really.
Yeah.
Like curly hair, pair of jazz shoes and a pair of jazz trousers. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was that sort of woman. But she was really, really good. We probably owe a lot of our work to her. And she was IS2D, it was very regimented, it was very technical. And that, I stuck with it and I stayed there. But it just wasn't for me. I was very tits and teeth, if I can say that. I went for an audition for a show in the West End, Annie. And it was in a mall, like a
shopping mall?
Shopping mall, yeah. And got it. And then jumped onto the West End. That was it.
Just like that. Amazing.
Yeah, I was like...
And when was that?
I must have been about 12, 13 at that point. I'm 33 now, so it was a little while ago. And I did that, I want to say, for about a year. I did that. And it was with a great company. Everyone was lovely. They loved us all. We was treated really, really well. And it was just a great experience. And then at that point, I knew what I wanted to do. That was it.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's kind of like a make or break kind of role, isn't it? You either love it or hate it, I suppose. Yeah, amazing. And then did you go on to train professionally as you got older?
Yeah, I did. 15, I got a scholarship, full scholarship to Millennium Performing Arts with a Dada Award. And I was
they don't exist anymore.
No, I know, it's so sad.
I had one as well when I went to college. Yeah. Dance and Drama Award, for those of you that aren't aware.
Yeah, and I didn't get a full scholarship to start with at all. They called me and said that, I got a letter through the post and said that I'd got in, but there was no mention of a scholarship. My mum had 4 children that were doing everything. So she just couldn't afford it. So she fought tooth and nail to get me where I needed to be. I got my full scholarship. I got my Dada Award. I was sponsored by the Freemasons. She did absolutely everything for us. So yeah, I did. So I went to Millennium and I didn't finish.
Oh, really?
I didn't graduate at all. I left after a year. I
Mhm.
was sick. I was way too young. I was way too young, and I thought I was the bee's knees, and I thought I was amazing, and I didn't need anything. Yeah, so I didn't finish.
And what did you go on to do after that
I
then?
went and got a corporate job. Yeah, I
Ooh.
went and got a corporate job. And I still worked in the industry. I used to go at Christmas. I had a really good boss, and they used to let me go at Christmas. And I used to go and do panto
Mhm.
for Christmas. I stayed within the industry. I just flipped. I was like, I'm doing this, then I'm doing that, then I'm doing this, then I'm doing that. And then I was in Brighton for 4 months, or I was in Portsmouth for 2 months. So I still stayed within it. I just got a job.
And then, so what led you to then open your own performing arts school?
My partner, and we were sitting in so organic, it just flowed. I was sitting in a pub and we was talking about it. And I also had a really good, I'm going back now, I'm flipping.
That's all right.
I had a really good teacher when I was in my teens called Katie Guyton, and she had one of the best scores for like competitions, exams. She was really, really good. And I went and compared for a show, and she said to my partner, he needs a school. That's what he needs. Once he gets a school, he'll be absolutely fine. So we were sitting in a pub one night, and we sitting there speaking about it, and Lee said, let's do it. And that's what we did.
And am I right in thinking that you had the idea on the Saturday and launched on the Monday, or it was something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, we went and looked at a premises on the Monday, and we was open on the Sunday. It's
7
nuts.
days later.
It's absolutely nuts. But I
I
think
don't think I know anybody that's opened a school in 7 days, so you're
it was
very unique in that respect.
it was just crazy. It was crazy. And I thought I was going to be the next Sylvia Young. Do you know what I mean? I thought I was going to have a line around the block. People are going to be itching to come to my school. And that just wasn't the case. I had 2 students through the door. One of them was, because I was still working full time. One of them was my boss's granddaughter, and one of them was my nephew.
Fantastic.
And that was what I had. And I employed a teacher, a tap teacher. No means to pay her. Oh, there was
I hope you did, though.
no, we did. Of course we did. Yeah. We just did it. We just put a pot of money in, and that was what we did.
Okay, so tell us more about the fact that you launched the school as a CIC, which, as I mentioned at the beginning there,
Mhm.
that stands for a community interest company. So it's quite a bold move. I mean, I think people listening will probably have understood already by now that you make quite bold moves, which I
Yeah.
love. But can you take us back to that moment in the pub when
Yeah.
you were discussing this and you chose to launch it in that way? What was the reason for it?
That wasn't the start of it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
The start of it was always to make dance accessible, because we knew the struggles. We knew the struggles to get into college. We knew the struggles to get right teachers. It's expensive. This industry is expensive, and I don't think people realise how expensive it is. You've got competition entries, especially nowadays. Everything's Americanised within the dance world, which is great in some aspects and not so great in other aspects. But it's expensive, and my mum fought tooth and nail for us. And I wanted to give something back through her, maybe a little bit in my subconscious. So I wanted to make it accessible. And there's so much talent out there, and it's missed because they can't afford it. And that's not what we wanted to do. We didn't really think about the money. We didn't really think about how the dance school was going to survive. We just went, this is what we're doing. And that's our ethos. And that's what we stuck with. So we had a lot of help from a neighbour of ours, and she has a CIC company.
Right.
And we had a chat with her, and we was like, do we open it as a limited? Which we didn't really want to do because there's a lot involved with that. Then we opened it as a charity, which we didn't want to do because we still wanted to charge. So the in-between ground was the CIC.
Right. And can you talk us through how that works, what it looks like as a business owner, being the front man, as it were, of a CIC company?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So what it is, and this is just my Blake understanding of it, my partner's really involved with our business side. It's allowing you to access funding, access broader opportunities financially and still being a community interest company. So still being something involved with the community that of maybe there's students from a low income or from a high income. There's no switch. So as a charity base, from my understanding, for the charity base, you can't charge nothing. It has to be a free process. Okay. Getting funding with that is difficult because there's no funding.
Right.
Nowhere. Yeah. So it allowed us to still charge our students for their classes, their competition entries, their costumes, their show stuff, and enabled us to get funding for the people that weren't able to do that. So they didn't miss out on an opportunity. That's the way I took it.
When your participants pay for their sessions, are they at a subsidised rate, or
Yes.
is it that so they pay a part of it and then the funding that you access pays the
Yes.
other part of
So
it?
so the funding, we have a pot and they pay their tuition, which covers our heating, our rent. But the funding comes in for competition entries, a coach, costumes, tickets, people that can't afford to come and watch their kids. We will use that. So we'll
Yeah.
go, we've got it. And that
Yes.
happens. Sometimes I might have 4 or 5 people that can't access that. Sometimes I will have 2 people that can't access that. So it just differs. We basically just go, no, you're doing it. Don't worry about the financial stuff. We've got it. That's what we do.
So you're just removing all those financial barriers
Yeah.
to allow students from all walks of life to be able to access your
Yeah.
classes. And tell us, what classes do you offer?
So we offer tap, modern, ballet, acrobatics. We've now just started to launch our Lambda stuff with you, obviously. Amazing. So my partner's doing that, who has no background in
So
dance.
he's using the course that I launched recently to then launch Lambda lessons in your
Yes.
school.
Yes.
That is unbelievably exciting. Also unbelievably exciting that he's been following my training, and
Yeah.
I haven't even met him yet. That's so brilliant to hear. I'm delighted to hear that, because obviously that is what my courses are for. They're for people to launch their own Lambda lessons or to refresh their current knowledge, feel reassured that they're doing all the right things. And obviously as he goes through the process, he can keep on referring back to the course, which he's got lifetime access to. So all good there.
Yeah, he
What I
loves
wanna
it. He
talk-
said it's amazing.
Brilliant. What I want to talk about now is the fact that you started off with your 2 students, your boss's granddaughter and your nephew. But it's not
Yeah.
by accident that you have then managed to increase your cohort to 23 students. And I know that further growth is part of your business plan. So
Yeah.
what were those early days like, though, when you just had the very small amount of students? Did you have doubts? Did you feel overwhelmed? Like what was
I
happening
never
for you guys
really
then?
never really thought about it because it had just happened really rapidly. Like that week we had 2, we had 4, we had 6, and I just rolled with it. I just went with
Yeah.
it, and there was no way, especially in them earlier days, because I've got my whole social background and friends are dance school owners, and I sort of went, "There's no way I'm gonna let this fail. Not in a million." It's my ego. My ego is absolutely massive, and I just went, "No, I'm not doing it."
It's having that unshakable belief, though, to
Yeah.
succeed. I know you've just branded it as ego, and that's absolutely fine. But I do think that people from a performing arts background are made from a different set of
Gosh, yeah.
grit. I think I called it the special sauce with another guest the other day,
Yeah.
and I totally stand by that. But I think if you've been to drama school, been to performing arts school, you have just experienced a different kind of training. And I think that it converts beautifully into being a business owner. And so many of us in the creative world come from a
Yeah.
creative background, not a business background.
Yeah.
But having that grit and determination, I think, really speaks volumes to how people can run their businesses.
And I learned
So-
on the job. Like I just learned on the job. I just went and did contracts, and I
Mhm.
learned on the job, and I learned how to behave, and I learned that you really have to be resilient. And I was really blessed with confidence, bundles and bundles and bundles. If you told me I can do something, I'd do it. And I was really blessed with that. So I was a little bit more resilient.
Yeah.
And that factored out throughout my life, really. Because the only way I thought I was going to get anywhere was by being that person. Be this bundle of confidence, fake it till you make it, really, but without faking it. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
I'd really good training and I knew where I was going and that's what I did
Yeah,
without
fantastic.
even realising that I did it.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot though. I can kind of resonate and relate with you a little bit from my own experience, where sometimes you just want something so badly, or you want something
Yeah,
to succeed, that you kind of don't really know how you're feeling when you're in it. It's only when you reflect back and you go,
yeah,
"Oh my gosh, yeah, I
yeah.
just put my best foot forward and I just got on with it and I was really resilient." But you can't quite explain how
How
maybe
you did it. Yeah,
you did it.
you just go channel vision and you go,
Hmm.
and that's where
Yeah.
you go.
Well, that's really interesting that you say that, because there is actually quite a lot to be said about working in your peripheral or working in tunnel vision.
Yeah,
Because when you're working in tunnel vision, you're actually in that hyper focus mode where
yeah,
entrepreneurs tend to be able to get a lot more done in that
yeah,
state. And then you work more in peripheral when you're working, on stage and being able to see everybody else around you, maybe doing public speaking or something like that,
yeah.
because then it lessens that flight or fight mode
Oh, slightly.
response.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's really interesting.
yeah,
Marketing and visibility, come on, huge challenges for all of us, isn't it? I
yeah,
think the visibility is like a massive buzzword in the online space at the moment. Everyone's talking about trying to be visible, feeling a bit invisible and all that sort of
yeah.
thing. But what's been the most surprising or difficult thing that you've learned about trying to reach your local community to fill your classes?
Schools. We are surrounded by schools. And this was my idea. I'm gonna walk into the schools with a load of leaflets and I'm gonna go, these exams have UCAS points, blah blah blah. They're gonna flop. And it just wasn't like that at all. Because we have after school clubs now, we have all these things. They wasn't that interested in a local dance school down the road that were doing competitions and shows.
Hmm.
I just wasn't interested in it. So that was difficult. That was difficult to get my head around. I ended up getting really frustrated with it. Um, why don't they want to do this? I don't understand. It's not just about the dance, it's about the connections. We've just had COVID. Kids are not sociable. So I really try to make that part of the learning and the growth, not just the dance.
Hmm.
And yeah, we found that difficult advertising through the schools.
Unfortunately, with schools, they're full of gatekeepers to stop lots of people getting in, because
Yeah,
they are obviously approached by all sorts of different people, and the school administrators are school administrators. They're not, people that can read exactly who's
yeah,
emailing them coming into the school. They're not sort of
yeah.
personality experts or anything like that, are they?
I'm so dyslexic. It's unreal. Like, so writing an email would take me 3 days. Like, it's
Yeah,
a nightmare for me. But going down the road and popping in the office with couple of leaflets and this is better for me.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
we just felt like it was really hard actually because we felt like we was just getting slammed, like the door was just getting slammed. And at one point we was probably like, is this going to work in this area? Is this going to work with the kids now? Because the kids are very different. And I was looking at it as like everyone's like 8-year-old Jack, and they're not. They're not. Some kids don't want to be on stage. Some kids just want to come into a few forward roles, and they're quite happy with that. And I really had to learn that, and that's probably took me 2 years to learn that.
And do you mean that you've had to adapt your teaching style and your
100%.
your class community
Yeah.
to be able to ensure that everybody's needs are being met in your
Yes.
classes?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Hmm.
really, really had to adapt, really. And I've had to take a few little words of wisdom and go, maybe you're not always right,
Yeah.
which is a horrible thing. And especially for someone like me.
Let's call it.
Yes, yeah, yeah, exactly. I've really had to grow and I've really had to go, look, if you're going to make this work, because at one point it was like, do I do this my way and it possibly doesn't go as well? Or do I take some advice and get quite a good little school
Mhm.
together and a good bunch of students? And to me, that was more important than doing it Jack's way.
Absolutely. What a fantastic thing to be able to realise in such a short space of time as
Yeah.
well, because there could be some people out there who just keep on banging the drum for 5, 10 years and wonder why they're, not
Yeah.
making any progress. Not saying that your way wouldn't have
Oh,
succeeded,
I
but
don't
it
think it would.
sounds.
Yeah, and I can admit that now. Like, I'm really tough. I'm really tough, and I
Mhm.
need to remember that some of my students are 4, and they're not 18. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? But then on the same time, you get some really good ones that really want this, and then you can direct that, and you can point that in that right direction, and then this kid is just happy, and that's fine too. Do you know what I mean? And I was like,
It's so great to hear you say
yeah.
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and
brilliant.
not everyone wants to do this. Not everyone wants to be a dancer, but they like coming, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
That's
So yeah,
brilliant.
I had to learn that very quickly. So
Mhm.
yeah,
So I was gonna ask you about how your personal journey as a dancer has influenced your approach, but I feel like you've just answered that really. But do you think that there's anything about being a theatre school owner that has taught you about self-belief within yourself and about how you do show up as being quite resilient?
yeah. Sometimes I'm too resilient.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's
Okay.
too much. Like for instance, let me give you an example. I put something out and I go, "We're going to dance at the fair," and 6 parents come back and go, "We're busy." What do you mean you're busy? Like this is important, and I had to sit there, and that's my resilient side. That's where I'm sort of at. I think dance to me is the be all and end all. Yeah, that's my life. That's what I've worked hard for, but it's not everyone.
Mhm.
So that resilient side from my background and the work journey is this, but then I also had to weigh it out. Does that make sense? Is that making sense?
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is that sometimes you are so focused
Yes.
and have your sights set on something and
Mhm.
you think it's so brilliant that you're like, well, obviously everybody else is going to want to do that,
Yeah.
but they might be going to someone's birthday party on the
Yeah.
day of the fair.
Yeah. Well, they're
Or, they
busy.
got their nana and granddad coming round, or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's just been a bit of a mindset shift that you've had
Yes.
to go through to just remember that everyone's got their own lives and loads of other things going on. And as you've already mentioned as well, that not every child might want to perform at the fair. And that's okay
Yeah.
too.
That's okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
had to learn that. I
Mhm.
really had to learn that because couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
But that's because that's my life. It's not theirs. And I found myself projecting that.
I think a lot of dance teachers will relate to that though,
Yeah.
because I don't know many dance teachers that are quite like laid back and nonchalant.
Yeah.
Most dance teachers I know are in the thick of it because they live and breathe it.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's okay too, because that's how you make
Absolutely.
successful dancers. And
Absolutely. And that's what makes a successful school in terms of having that passion
yes,
100%. But it's obviously just making sure we balance it with coaching our young people. But it
yeah,
seems that you're doing a brilliant job of,
I'm trying. Yeah,
noticing, yeah, where
yeah,
you need to maybe just relax your expectations a little bit of younger people and of families and their life balance and things like that. But what would you say has been the toughest part of running your school that maybe people don't see from the outside?
emotional attachment. Did not think that I was maternal at all. I was like, they're a dancer, they're a kid. If it's not good enough, that's not good enough. And then because we have lost kid students and we have dropped and grown, and that's
Yeah,
great for the
just
business.
normal. Yeah.
When we lose a student, it absolutely breaks my heart. And not just because of the dance or stuff like that, because you get emotionally attached to these kids. And if any dance teacher says, I don't know how they're doing that and can they give me a bit of advice?
Yeah, no, I don't think I know anybody that would be
Yeah.
able to be like, "Oh yeah, whatever, I don't mind,"
Emotional attachment. Yeah.
because you get to know the child, you get to know their family, you get to know what their other interests are outside of the dance
Yeah.
studio or the acting studio, wherever you are, and you have a very intimate school as well,
Yeah.
just like I do. I know everybody, and you just know stuff about these
It's
people, and you
rejection,
know
isn't it?
them, and they're not
Yeah.
just 100 kids in a couple of classes that you don't have a clue about. And I'm not saying that if you've got 100 kids in your school that you don't know all of them either.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really interesting because you're so invested in their future
Yeah.
as well, right?
And it also goes back to rejection, doesn't it? Like when you think
Yeah.
of your first dating and that
Mhm,
person says that I didn't want to be with you anymore. So say your first love, that person says they don't want to be with you anymore, that's rejection.
mhm. Yeah.
That goes back to that. And it's actually a normal thing. I used to think it was something, I was like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. But it's
Yeah.
quite normal. No one likes rejection. It's like the
Oh,
same thing within our industry. If you go to an audition and you don't get the job, no one likes it. And it's the same thing. And you have to you have to recognise them.
I was literally just going to say, and I think that the performing arts industry is one of the biggest industries where rejection is just like part and parcel of it. It's just like quite a normal
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
Whereas, of course, people who work in different industries, I know that people go for interviews and they might not be successful and they get rejected
Mhm.
and things, but it's on such lesser basis. It's so few and
Yeah.
far between. I think of my partner who's works in the corporate world, and he had the same job for 20 years at one point.
Yeah.
And I just can't even imagine that. I was working in a secondary school as a peripatetic lambda teacher, and I left that school in the summer of 2025. So only a few months ago, and I was there for 5 years. It's like one of the longest jobs I've ever had in my life. And I only left because I just knew that I wanted to pursue more of this work, doing the podcast and things, and I just wasn't able to give this as much attention as I wanted to doing that role. And I was really sad to leave it because the team I work with were amazing, the children were amazing, but you just have to move on. And I look back and I think, how did I stay there for 5 years? That's so
No.
unlike me.
And it's scary, isn't it? Like, to me, that's not scary, and to you, that wouldn't be scary. But when I opened my school, I was still working full time alongside that.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
the second year, I was like, I need to leave. And my partner was like, what do you mean? Like, you can't leave? You can't do that? And I was like, no, this is actually quite normal for us. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's interesting, isn't it? Our different mindsets.
yeah, the different mindset.
So you're passionate about the sort of expression that dance can offer. It can be a space for children to process their emotions, express
hmm
themselves. So how do you guys nurture that confidence and emotional awareness in your students?
I'm a little bit old school.
Hmm.
In that sense. How do we nurture that? How do we nurture that? We give them the best training we can. We nurture them when they fall. We pick them up and tell them to carry on. We praise them when they've done something right. And if they've not done something right, but they're this close, we praise them again and then we work on
Yeah,
it.
very
That's how we do
nice.
it. But we're
Yeah.
tough when it's a bit like, come on now, you're being silly.
Competition.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. One of my students, and she's really, really young, and I love her dearly. And she's brutal. She's really honest. And we was doing rehearsals for a show that we was doing with Showtime Future Stars, and I didn't shout that day. I didn't shout. I just went, "It is what it is. Let's make it work. Let's be calm about it." And she come up to me and she went, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah."
You gotta love them, haven't you?
Yeah, but do you know what? But they're fine with it because they're so used to it. Like, it doesn't
Mhm.
bother them. Like, when I mean shout, I don't mean shout in a bad way. I mean, "Hi,
No.
Dad, do
I
you
was
know what I
just going to
mean?
say the difference between shouting like, "You're rubbish," like that we would never ever want to hear anybody shouting to children or adults, to be honest. But the difference between being a dance teacher is, as you say, you've got the 5, 6, 7, 8.
Knows me, and she knows me well enough that that wasn't normal for Jack. And
Yeah,
she was like, "Are you okay?"
that is
And
so
she's
funny.
4.
Oh,
She's like, "Are you okay? Shall we do that again?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Do you know what? It's fine." That was
mhm,
fine because I was worried that I was doing that too much and I was over pushing and over exuberating it, but I wasn't. And it was
mhm.
fine because one of my students said, "That's not okay, Jack. You can't say, yeah, that was great because it wasn't." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So,
definitely got that when I was at dance school. We didn't enjoy it very much if teachers just kept on saying, "Well done, doing really well."
yeah,
We were like, "What about my corrections?
yeah,
What about my notes?"
yeah.
I know I'm not doing all of it properly, you
No.
know.
And there's some kids that I can't do that with, and I know I can't do that with them because that's going to hinder them, and that's not what we want to do. We need to sit like there's some kids that I have a really good chat with, and I go, "It wasn't that great that day. Why do you think that wasn't great?" And they will explain it to me, and then I've got some kids I'm like, "What was that?" And they're like, "I don't know." Do you know? So you just learn how to deal with different students. And I think we're in a world at the minute, which is fun. And I think it's great that being autistic or dyslexia or dyspraxia is really open and people can get help for that. But I do think that they're still just little human beings and they're just trying to figure their way. And we're trying to figure out how to work with them and get the best out of them. So sometimes you can be really on it with a child, and sometimes you have to change that. And both of them are fine. That's my personal opinion.
That's what this is all about. You're sharing your experiences,
Yeah.
your opinions, your way of doing things. So, for anyone listening who's thinking about starting their own performing arts school or just a creative business in general, what advice would you give to them from your experience about when you've been in the trenches, shall we say?
Check check your area. Check your area. Check who's around you, if there's any schools around you. Check how many children are in that area and go for it. That's what I would say. Just do it. Just do
Love
it.
it. Yeah,
Why not?
absolutely.
Get yourself a logo. Get yourself a logo. Don't even think about the other stuff because it'll change. Everything will change week to week, and it'll change month to month and year to year. But just go and do it and find your way. And don't think that this is going to make you money because it's probably not for about 5 years. You have to do it for the love, and that's would be my advice. If you love something and you truly believe in what your brand is and what you can create and what you can offer, then just go for it and pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Message people that you don't even know that have got a school and say, "Look, I'm looking to do this. Can I have some advice?" Because 9 times out of 10, they will help you. We've met some amazing people within this industry, like Chantel Kemp. She owns DDA, very good friend of mine. She tells me brutally what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right, and I love her for it. Katie Guyton, another one, she really helps me. Becky O'Brien. I've got a list of people that I can call and go, "I'm having a really crap day and I don't know why," and they will help you. Just like we're a community, and I think that you should be able to do that.
I think more theatre school owners, so anybody who's a performing arts professional, needs to do more of that. I think there
Yeah.
needs to be a lot more collaboration and less competition for sure
Yeah.
between owners, because most of the time we're not competing with one another because we're in our own areas. You know, it might be a little bit different if you've got a school down the road, but I think still go for collab over competition any day of the week anyway, because you're going to get better results.
But saying that, if there's a school down the road, okay, I think that's because people are scared that people are going to take students. That's the reason they don't collab. Brutally honest, they're scared they're going to take the students and they don't want to lose them. And I get that. But if you are loyal and there's a school down the road and that student comes to you and goes, "I want to move to my school," or whatever, the first thing you do is get on the phone to that teacher and you go, "I've had this call. What do you want me to do?" The respect you earn from that is
Absolutely.
like no other.
Honesty, integrity, authenticity,
Yes,
100%.
exactly. And I do believe in that. I think you can do things without treading on people's toes.
You can. I completely agree
And
with
that's
you.
the whole industry. The whole industry is not necessarily if you're the best dancer, singer, actor, but if you're easy to work with, you're going to get booked. And it's the same without being a dance school owner or being a drama school owner or a theatre school owner or a football coach or a rugby coach. It's the same. If you are easy and you get along with people and you're pleasant and you're polite, you're fine.
It really costs nothing, doesn't it, to do all
No,
of those things?
no. And they've
100%.
probably got a better idea that you can probably change about and say, "Can I do this?" and just change the wording. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to go, "Yeah, do it." So that would be my advice.
And your debut show is coming up in March 2026. So what can
Yeah.
you tell us about it, and what and how would you love your audience to feel when they come and watch it?
I just, so the show debut, I wanted to do a show for the 2 years that I was open, and everyone was saying to me, "No, no, you haven't got enough students, you haven't got enough of this, you're not got enough of this, you're not gonna make no money." So I took the money aspect out of it, and I went and knocked on a few doors, and I said, "Look, we've got this show, we're a CIC company, we haven't got buckets and buckets of money, can you help us?" That's what we've done. So we've got loads of help from different companies, and
Sponsorship.
we got
Yeah.
sponsorship from a guy down the road that I just opened a bar. He's providing our bar work. We've got lights coming in. It's gonna be an amazing show. And I just want people to feel proud of their students and proud of what we have built. We've got some amazing mums that really help. The whole thing is a community, and I just want that. I want that. Like, almost a bit like, do you remember Honey?
Yes, of course.
Back in the day. Do you know, like, when she puts on that show and it's all really great? That's what I want.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, and someone's done
Amazing.
the signage, someone's done the programme, someone's doing the bar. We just want a massive community aspect, and obviously it's to help bring more students into the school. But if it doesn't and everyone has a good time, I've done my job, and that's it. Yeah.
And earlier on, I asked you if you could give a piece of advice to someone who wants to start their own school. But the question I always ask at the end of every episode is if you could give one piece of advice to just a fellow creative business owner or fellow performing arts professional who could be at the same point as you in their journey or a bit further along, anybody like that. And if they're feeling a bit stuck right now, what advice would you give them if they were feeling stuck and not sure what to do?
Have a down day. Have a down day. Sit there and cry about it. Sit there and think you can't do it. Have all that, and then get up the next day and go, do you know what? I can do this. I'm just not going down either you're down the right path, you're not going down the right avenue, you've not got the right people, especially with funding. Funding is hard because you can't just go on the internet and look for funding. You really have to connect with people. Again, get on the phone, knock on the door, be really annoying. Be really annoying. Hi, it's me again. It's me again, you're right. And things like that will happen, and it will happen for you. You've just got to really believe in what you're doing and remember why you started doing it. Just go back to the why all the time.
Go back to the why. I
Go back to the
love
why.
that.
And if anyone has got a CIC company out there, or they want some advice or stuff like that, send me a message, and I'm more than happy to give people advice from the advice that I've had and I know.
Amazing, Jack. Thank you. You've
You're
shared some
welcome.
great opinions and thoughts and info with us today. So if we do need to send you a message to ask you about funding or any other aspects of being a performing arts business owner, where could we find you to contact you?
So our Facebook is JSSD. Instagram is Jack Seager School of Dance _ and our website is Jack Seager School of Dance, and you can pop a message on the website as well. Or send me a message on Instagram and Facebook or wherever.
And can students sign up for your classes through your website as well?
Yes, they can. So we offer free trials for the first class. When you come to our schools, you get a welcome pack. One of our principals, either me and Lee, will sit down and talk you through what we do, what we're about, and what your options are. So when you get our forms, if you don't want to be a performer and you just want to come and take a class, you tick that box. If you want to do competitions, you tick that box. If you want to do shows, tick that box. There's just no pressure to do anything that you don't want to. And again, that's took me 2.5 years to do that. I'm finally there.
But that's
So, yeah.
all good. That sounds like a wonderful first experience of the Jack Seager School of Dance to have when they walk through the doors. And thank you so much for all your time today, Jack.
Thank you for having me. I've had a fabulous time.
And thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Acting Coach Network podcast. If you loved what you heard, make sure you're following. And if you've got a moment, I'd love you to leave a quick review or share the episode with someone else in the industry who might just need it. You can find me on Instagram at the Acting Coach Network, and if you prefer watching conversations, all of the video episodes are available on my YouTube channel. Just search the Acting Coach Network and hit subscribe to join us there too. And if you're looking for support to grow your coaching business or creative career with confidence, resilience, and without burning out, I'm offering a 3-month one-to-one coaching program where you get to the bottom of what you most need help with in your business. You can also find my latest free resource in the show notes. I'll be back soon with more real conversations, expert insights, and tools to help you build a business you love. Until next time, keep going, stay kind to yourself, and I'll see you soon.